Help me reach 6,000 subscribers. Support the video with a like and leave your thoughts in the comments. I read everyone. Thank you. I remember that night clearly, not because anything dramatic happened, but because of how quiet it was afterward. We were sitting on the couch, a movie playing that neither of us was really watching. The only light came from the TV, flickering across her face. She didn't look angry or sad, just empty. I asked if something was wrong, though I already knew the answer. She sighed, turned toward me, and said flatly, "You don't make me happy. Why should I be warm?" The words didn't come like an explosion. They were delivered like a weather report, emotionless, inevitable. And something inside me shifted. For months, maybe years, I had been chasing the version of her that used to exist. The one who laughed at my jokes, who hugged me from behind when I made coffee, who'd grab my hand for no reason. I thought if I worked harder, if I did more, if I proved I was worth loving, she'd find her way back. But that sentence made something very clear. She didn't want to find her way back. That night I didn't argue. I didn't plead. I just nodded and said, "Okay." She blinked like she hadn't expected that answer. Maybe she wanted a fight, or maybe she wanted tears. Instead, I stood up, turned off the TV, and said I was heading to bed. The silence that followed was heavy, but not painful. It was clarifying. The next morning, I didn't make her coffee like I used to. I didn't text her from work to ask how her day was going. I didn't try to make her smile. I stopped trying, and in that strange stillness, I found a peace I hadn't felt in years. At first, she didn't notice. Or maybe she enjoyed it. The quiet, the lack of emotional demand. I'd come home, cook my dinner, wash my plate, and sit in the living room reading. She'd scroll on her phone, occasionally laughing at something I wasn't a part of. We became polite strangers occupying the same house. One evening I came home late from work. She was already eating. There was only one plate on the table. She looked up briefly and said, "There's leftover pasta in the pot." I nodded, reheated it, and ate standing up. She seemed oddly unsettled by that. "Why aren't you sitting?" she asked. I said, "Didn't think it mattered." That was the first crack in her calm. Over the next few days I could feel her watching me, like she was trying to figure out what had changed. I wasn't cruel. I wasn't cold. I was just absent, emotionally invisible. I realized something important then. Warmth shouldn't have to be earned through constant effort. It should flow both ways. 2 weeks passed. One Saturday morning she came into the kitchen while I was making eggs. Her tone was sharp. "So this is it now? You're just detached?" I said, "I'm just following your lead." Her eyes narrowed. "You're being childish." I smiled slightly. "Maybe. But at least I'm not begging anymore." She didn't respond. She just stared at me, then turned and left the room. It was strange. For years I had felt powerless, like my happiness depended entirely on how she treated me. But now in that detachment, I felt control again. Days turned into weeks. The emotional distance grew so thick you could feel it when you walked in the door. I came home later, stayed quiet, spent weekends fixing things in the garage. Sometimes, I'd find her lingering near the doorway like she wanted to say something but didn't know how. One night I came in and found her sitting at the kitchen table, arms crossed, eyes red. She said, "You don't even look at me anymore." I said, "You told me not to." She shook her head. "I didn't say that." I reminded her, word for word, what she'd said. "You don't make me happy. Why should I be warm?" Her lips parted slightly. I could see the moment she remembered. She looked down, silent. For once I didn't fill the silence. I just walked past her, poured myself a drink, and sat down on the couch. The same couch where all of this had started. And for the first time in a long while, I didn't feel like the broken one. The next few days felt like a quiet standoff. She started lingering in the same rooms I was in, pretending to scroll on her phone, occasionally glancing up like she wanted to start a conversation. I'd answer politely when she spoke, but the warmth she once rejected never returned. It was subtle at first. She began making dinner again, asking if I'd like some. I said sure, thanked her, and ate quietly. No compliments, no deep talk, just civility. That civility started to bother her. One night she snapped. "You think you're better than me now?" she asked out of nowhere. I looked up from my book. "No, I just stopped trying to make you happy." Her jaw clenched. "You're acting like I'm the problem." I shrugged. "I think we both are. But I was the only one fighting for us, and I stopped." She went silent, her eyes filling with tears she refused to let fall. I realized something in that moment. She wasn't angry because I'd given up. She was angry because she had lost control, the comfort of knowing I'd always chase her no matter how cold she became. The next morning, she cooked breakfast without saying a word. Pancakes, my favorite. I hadn't had those in months. She slid a plate toward me and said, "Eat before it gets cold." I smiled faintly. "Thanks." We sat across from each other in awkward silence. She picked at her food, watching me between bites. Finally, she said softly, "You don't even try to talk to me anymore." I set my fork down. "You made it pretty clear that my presence didn't make you happy." "That's not what I meant," she said quickly. "Then what did you mean?" She looked away. "I don't know. I was angry." I nodded. "I was desperate." I guess we both said things that killed something between us. She bit her lip, eyes wet. "Can we fix it?" I took a deep breath and told her the truth I'd been carrying quietly for weeks. "I don't know if I want to." Her face fell, and for a moment I felt almost guilty. But the truth is, I wasn't being cruel. I was being honest. We had built a relationship where love had become a performance. I played the fool trying to earn affection, and she played the critic deciding if I deserved it. Once I stopped performing, the whole act collapsed. Over the next few weeks, her behavior shifted completely. She started doing the small things I used to beg for, asking about my day, making my favorite meals, touching my arm when she passed me. But the timing felt wrong. It wasn't that I didn't appreciate it. I just didn't trust it. One evening, she asked if I wanted to go for a drive, something we hadn't done in years. I agreed. We drove in silence for a while, city lights blurring past. Then she said, "You used to love holding my hand when we drove." "I did," I replied. She waited, maybe hoping I'd reach over. I didn't. She turned her face toward the window. "You're really done, aren't you?" I thought for a moment. "No, I'm not done with life or love. I'm just done begging for it." The rest of the drive was quiet. When we got home, she went straight to the bedroom and closed the door. I sat on the couch, that same couch again, and realized how much peace comes when you finally stop trying to convince someone of your worth. The next morning, she was gone early. There was a note on the counter. "I need time to think, don't give up on me yet." I read it twice, then folded it neatly and set it aside. I didn't chase her. That weekend, I went fishing with a couple of old friends. I laughed more in those few hours than I had in years. When I came home, the house was quiet, but it didn't feel lonely anymore. It felt like mine again. Later that night, she texted, "Can we talk?" I looked at the message for a while, then replied, "Maybe later." I'm finally learning to be happy again without needing anyone's permission. She didn't respond. I went to bed early, and for the first time in a long time, slept peacefully. Sometimes love doesn't end with shouting or betrayal. Sometimes it ends with a single sentence that reveals the truth neither of you wanted to face. She said, "You don't make me happy. Why should I be warm?" And I finally realized, happiness isn't something you give to someone else by breaking yourself in half. It's something you protect once you've learned what it costs to lose it.